Dental Sports Central will be over a college football bowl preview and prediction on the 2021 Myrtle Beach Bowl matchup between Old Dominion and Tulsa. Both teams have had good seasons to this point. Should make for a good matchup. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this game here today, starting out with your team trends. Old Dominion beat Charlotte in their last game 56-34. Solid win to finish out the season, and they clinched bowl eligibility with the win there. And same thing for Tulsa, getting that win over SMU was huge. Obviously, for Tulsa getting up to 6-6, had to win that SMU game for a chance at bowl eligibility. So, yeah, that was a huge win for Tulsa, and both teams are 6-6 coming into this matchup. Old Dominion on a 5-game winning streak, so they've got some good momentum heading into this matchup. Haven't lost since mid-October, and of course for Tulsa, they've won 3 straight. So both teams have got some good momentum heading into this matchup. Game will be on Monday, December 20th, Conway, South Carolina. And your kickoff time is 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Spread's going with Tulsa here by 9.5 points. So Golden Hurricane are heavily favored in this matchup according to the spread. Over-under is 52.5. And your FPI is also going Tulsa on somewhat the heavy side, 67.3%. Something else that's interesting to mention is this is actually the first matchup between these two teams in both of their histories. Here's your stat comparison for this game. Old Dominion's got 28 points per game, 27 points allowed. 218 pass yards a game, 168 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, you got 247 passing, and then 125 for rushing. As for Tulsa, 26 points per game, 27 points allowed, 247 pass yards a game, 187 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, you got 231 passing, and then 147 for rushing. So both teams have pretty similar stats for the most part. I mean, Tulsa obviously is allowing slightly more points than they're getting, and kind of the opposite for Old Dominion. In a slight fashion. But anyway, moving on to your recent matchups. Old Dominion beat Charlotte 56-34. Also beat Middle Tennessee State. They're a decent football team. They're headed to a bowl game. Beat them 24-17 on the road. Beat FAU as well 30-16. Beat FIU on the road 47-24. And also beat Louisiana Tech 23-20. As for Tulsa, beat SMU. That was a huge game there. I mean, SMU's a pretty good football team, and Tulsa went in there with the mindset. I mean, they get to a bowl game if they win that game, and that's exactly what they did. Huge win for Tulsa against one of the better teams, of course, in the American Athletic. SMU finished out at 8-4. Not a bad season for them. And they also beat Temple 44-10, beat Tulane in overtime 20-13. So, I mean, Tulsa, they were 3-6, and it looked like all hope was lost for making it to a bowl game, especially after that Cincinnati loss. But obviously winning their last 3 games, that was huge. And, I mean, kind of the same thing for Old Dominion. I mean, it looked like all hope was lost. They were 1-6 heading into that October 30th matchup against Louisiana Tech, but got a couple of wins strung together and got up to that bowl eligibility threshold. Here are your key points for this one. Both teams are 6-6. Once again, Old Dominion started out the season 1-6. I mean, they were looking terrible for a long time, but got 5 straight wins and got to the bowl game. They've found ways to win close games. Obviously, I mean, they've won a lot of close games, so they do have an advantage there. And, of course, Blake Watson, watch out for him. He's a key impact player for the Monarchs, and he's gotten over 1,000 yards of rushing on the season with 7 touchdowns. So definitely watch out for Watson. He is a big impact player for this Old Dominion offense. As for Tulsa, they played a tougher schedule than Old Dominion. Definitely something to note to mention there. Old Dominion, of course, being in the Conference USA. I mean, the Conference USA is also a pretty decent conference, but it's not quite on the same level than the American Athletic that Tulsa is in. I mean, the American Athletic is the 6th best conference in college football, without a doubt. I mean, you got several very talented teams in there. You got Cincinnati, who's in the college football playoff, and then you got Houston, who's had a great season, UCF, and of course SMU, Tulsa, etc. And then for the Conference USA, I mean, the main contender that you got in there is UTSA, and I mean, no one else really comes close. So, strength of schedule, Tulsa does have a tougher schedule, which can come to their benefit in this game. Davis Brin, quarterback for Tulsa, is nearly 3,000 pass yards. Definitely a player to watch out for there. And they played a close game to Cincinnati. So, I mean, obviously the Bearcats are in the college football playoff playing Alabama here in a couple of weeks, and Tulsa kept it close against them. So that's something that they can take pride in and just beat SMU as well. But that being said, let's go ahead and get to the prediction here for Old Dominion and Tulsa. I'm going to go with the Golden Hurricane here. 27-24 is my predicted final score. I expect it to be more of a lower scoring matchup, potentially a moderate scoring matchup. I just think Tulsa is the more talented football team going into this matchup. I trust Davis Brin more than I do with the Monarchs quarterback and Wolf. So I'm going to go with Tulsa here. 27-24 is my predicted final score. Probability 60% towards Tulsa. So somewhat confident that the Golden Hurricane do win this game. And obviously coming off of 3 straight wins, and they've found it seems like this team has found their stride over the past few weeks. I mean, they beat Tulane in overtime, so kind of a close game against a pretty mediocre football team. But then after that, blew out Temple and that huge win over SMU on the road. So, yeah, Tulsa looks pretty good. And once again, Old Dominion as well. They've won 5 straight, but I just trust Tulsa more. I'm going to go with them, and I'm also going to take the under for this game. Over-under is 52.5. I'm going to take the under just barely. I mean, predicting the over-under for this game is really tough because, I mean, both teams have scored a lot of points this season, but at the same time, on average, like, both these teams are averaging like 28 and 26 points per game. So, but yeah, I do expect Old Dominion to cover as well. The 9-point spread. I think 9.5 is pretty heavy towards Tulsa, especially in a game that's expected to be pretty low scoring. And I do think Old Dominion is talented enough to keep this game close, but in the end, Tulsa gets the win. Let me know your thoughts and comments below on this game, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.